Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker. Or maybe for some of you, welcome to the channel for the first time, because today we're going to be taking a look at some top 8 deck lists from the Grand Prix. The Eastern Lorcana circuit has begun, and on the 31st of May, there were 2 Grand Prix held in both Tokyo, Japan and Shanghai, China. Now, they are a few sets behind the rest of the world in Lorcana. They are up to set 3 Into the Inklands, so both of these events were held under Into the Inklands format, which, if you're like me and you've been playing since before then, you'll remember those were some good times. But yeah, I'm not sure how popular this video is going to be, what with it being a format that is in the past. But I'm sure there will be some seasoned Lorcana players who will be interested to go back and reminisce about formats past. But yeah, not sure if I will continue to cover the Grand Prix circuit and their meta. It will depend how this video does. If you would like to see more coverage of these sort of events, then let me know, hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Now, as I said, there were 2 events. Unfortunately, only one event's lists have made their way onto inkdex.com. This was the Shanghai, China event. For the Tokyo, Japan event, the only list I've been able to find is the winners list, and this is the winner here. There are a few photos on this site, and there you see the hall, the players gathered. This was the winners deck list. I have translated it into Dreamborn, and we will look at that list. And some more pictures here of all of the top 8. Looks really cool. I really hope that at some point in my Lorcana career, I get to attend both China and Japan to experience Lorcana over there. But yeah, unfortunately, only the one winner's deck list is available for from the Tokyo event, so we will take a look at that, but the bulk of this video will be taking a look at the Shanghai Grand Prix. I do want to show this promo video here. This was reposted on Twitter by Dezenon. Shout out to Dezenon. But I do believe it was on the Disney Lorcana Instagram page. But I'm just going to play this. I'm just going to... Look at it. Look at it. Look at these bags they're getting. That's Steve Warner in the wild. Oh, look at this stage. Mate. Look at this room. This is crazy. Oh, mate. Oh, I could watch it again. I won't. But yeah, that promo video from the Shanghai event looked absolutely amazing, and that's going to be the majority of the deck list that we look at today. But we will finish off by taking a look at the winning list from Tokyo, and then just to cap the video off for 10-15 minutes, I'm going to be bringing on Lorcana world famous Dick Burns, who actually attended the Tokyo event in Japan. So we're going to have a quick chat with him. He's got some photos to show us of the event and to talk about the experience overall. So that is the plan. A shout out to the channel sponsor Cardmarket. If you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates, then check out Cardmarket. But let's take a look at some top 8 deck lists. Alright, starting us off in first place in Shanghai, my heart, my pride and my joy, Ruby Amethyst control. The more things change, the more they stay the same. What's interesting is this is the only Ruby Amethyst list from this top 8 in Shanghai, but I will tell you that the winning list from Tokyo was also Ruby Amethyst, and while the rest of those deck lists I've not been able to find, there was a breakdown of all the ink combinations at least that were in top 8, and there were at least, I think it was 3 or 4 of the top 8 was Ruby Amethyst. So while there's only one in this particular top 8, it did still go all the way. And then over in Tokyo, seemingly dominating. And yeah, this was by far and away, like, in my opinion, of course, it's going to sound biased, but in my opinion, the strongest deck. Some will argue for Blue Steel, some will argue for Emerald Amethyst and SteelSong, all totally reasonable. Those were all super strong decks. But like first chapter, Rise of the Floodborn, Ruby Amethyst was king. And really it was Into the Inklands that I think started to introduce cards that allowed other decks to flourish a little bit more. Like there's some Emerald Amethyst to look at, and there's going to be some Ruby Sapphire to look at, which is interesting because over in the West there was some Ruby Sapphire representation among top players in high level events. I've got the archives that we're going to take a quick look at in a minute, but seemingly doing a lot better over in the East right from the get-go. But yeah, with Into the Inklands, Ruby Amethyst can continue to shine with a bunch of new toys. And oh man, it's so therapeutic to look at this list. So let's break it down. We've got for 1-drops, we've got 4 mini and 4 Rafiki. Now, worth noting, Chernobog's Followers was available from Into the Inklands, but is not here. Minnie Mouse was super important, this 1-3 stat line for SteelSong more than anything else. The format was a little bit slower than it is now. There were good odds that this mini could generate a few lore over the course of a few turns. And in the mid to late game, this was quite reasonable just to be able to like push the board a little bit more, get a few more bodies without necessarily overplaying into something like a Grab Your Swords or an opposing Be Prepared. So minis were super good. And Rafikis with the Challenger 3, so becoming a 3-2 when challenging. This was super important because of Pinocchio, who we're seeing 3 copies of here. The Talkative Puppet, when you play this character, you can make exert chosen opposing character. I love Pinocchio back Into the Inklands. It was so good into so much against SteelSong, being able to exert their aerial and pop it with Rafiki before I got a chance to do anything. Or even something like a Piglet, that could be super relevant if you're against Emerald Amethyst. Then something like Ursula Deceiver of All. Even the 1-drop for SteelSong, if you're on the play and you go Rafiki and then they go Robin Hood or Queen, which those were their 2 shift lines back then, being able to just Pinocchio and just take away their 1-drop was really, really big. Or even better, a Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. Obviously, if you were on the draw and they got the Cinderella down first, then you could lose your Rafiki to a turn 2 Storm from them. So on the draw, we'd be more likely to prioritise holding or altering for the Minnie Mouse. But yeah, great 1-drops. We've got the typical bounce package for Snake, for Fox, for Goat, for Rabbit. Like I say, not much changes for Ruby Amethyst, really. 4 Crabs, of course, to generate value. We've got Kuzco's here in that 2-drop slot. Just another way to, they work really well with Crab, and it's just a consistency card. You're just drawing through your deck. And we also see 3 copies of Maleficent Sorceress here, who, again, are just a consistency card. If you had a good Fox or Crab play, then great, you would go with that. But if not, it's perfectly reasonable to throw down Maleficent, draw yourself a card. She set her up to sing Friends on the other side on the following turn. I really liked Maleficent still Into the Inklands format. But we're also seeing 2 copies of Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer, who's a 3-cost 1/3 quest for 2 with Evasive. Minnie was absolutely running rampant on the Lorcana metagame ever since her introduction in Rise of the Floodborn, really. We didn't have Brawls, we didn't have Sisus at this point in time, so this Minnie Mouse was super tough to answer, and is one of the reasons you're seeing 1 copy of Maui's Fishhook also in this deck to give your own characters evasive, and of course you can use it for free if you've got a Maui on board, of course, for Maui here. 1 Tremaine for Medusa, that's going to be super good into SteelSong and Emerald Amethyst if you're expecting that to be a lot of your meta. Lady Tremaine you'd expect to be better into like Ruby Sapphire to hopefully hit like the big Tamatoas. So this to me just sounds like a meta read of I'm going to see Emerald Amethyst and SteelSong more than anything else, where Medusa is really going to shine. 1 copy of Yzma as well as another just nice bit of removal, either for an opposing character. Yes, they draw 2 cards when it gets shuffled into the deck, but if you're just playing for tempo and winning the game, you don't care. Or you can bounce one of your own characters back to your deck and draw yourself 2 cards, keep something safe, bounce it back a rabbit or a goat to trigger their abilities, super good. Only 3 B prep I do think is low, but at least it's here, and 3 copies of the Location of Choice back then. The introduction of locations was Into the Inklands, and Queen's Castle was by far and away the most superior of all locations. We didn't get Library until set 5. And yeah, Queen's Castle, 2 passive lore at the beginning of your turn. For each character you've got there, you draw a card. It can still be, like, back then they had Fox Crab, so against Amethyst decks, like, you really had to pick your moments to put this down, or just not even bother, through fear of it, they play Crab, they bounce it, Fox hits for 7, or Maui with, like, any other character on board that hits for at least 2. So you got to pick your moments against the red and the purple decks, but against SteelSong, really good. And even against those colours like red, purple, where you need to be careful with your Queen's Castles, if you can find the right time to drop it when they don't have the answer, it's just as impactful. So, yeah, this looks incredible. Love to see it. Let's take a quick look at the archives. These are all the set 3 deck lists that I ever looked at. We'll take a quick look at Atlanta. 2nd place was Matthew. We're seeing a lot of similarities here. 1 Bog, 4 Pascal, but still playing the Rafikis. We've got the Pinocchios, Yzmas. Quite a similar split of the ladies here as well, to be fair. In top 4, we had Alberto, the Rafiki Mini, 1 copy of Sorcerer's Spellbook in this list, and a 3-2 of ladies. And in top 8, we had Matthew, Rafiki's, Olaf's over minis, one copy of Pascal. The Pascal was good as well with Crab, obviously, to take out opposing stylish with the Surfer minis. And the same split for one of ladies. And then also 3 Ruby Amethysts over in Lille. We've got Reese in second place, one copy of Jim Hawkins to complement these Queen's Castle, and 2 copies of Teeth and Ambitions. Teeth was very popular in set 2 and it had fallen off a lot in set 3, but Reese still finding a lot of use for it. The 2 Pinocchio, the same 1-drops. In top 4, we had Theatime. Again, mostly a similar list, but no Tremaine. Instead, we're seeing 2 copies of Hydra, one of my favourite legendaries. Whenever it's dealt damage, you deal that much damage to a chosen opposing character. And 2 Teeth and Ambitions definitely makes sense if you're going to play this Hydra. Yeah, I remember at the time thinking how cool it was that this, like, never-seen 6-cost uninkable legendary had performed so incredibly well. And then a final one here. They are playing 3 copies of a Sherna Bog, but we're seeing, again, the 4-1-3s, the 4 Rafikis, the Pinocchios. Yeah, so history more or less repeating itself. So a huge congratulations to this player. And then in second place in Shanghai, we have a 64-card Ruby Sapphire deck. No one tell Podcarder. But yeah, if you're expecting an awful lot of SteelSong, which it does seem to be was the case, Ruby Sapphire was just as good back then against it as it is now. If you are ramping and depleting your hand, and they're going to sing a whole new world for us and replenish our resources, and then we have this toolkit of mid to high cost cards and characters that can just absolutely dominate. So yeah, Ruby Sapphire coming in second place. We've got a Lucky Dime variant, 2 copies of the Dime, which you exert to gain lore equal to the lore in a chosen character. Going to work well with these 2 questers, but most specifically with the 4 copies of Tamatoa. So shiny on play and on quest, you return an item from your discard to your hand, and it gets +1 lore for every item you have in play. Wide item package, I mentioned the dimes. Fishbone Quills are going to help us ramp a fish hook, super nice to help with evasive and raise the strength of certain characters. Of course, 4 Porpisicle, consistency, and this is ice cream for our favourite band boy in the West, Flavisham. Let's finish the items. 2 copies of Shield of Virtue. You pay 3 and exert it to ready a chosen character. This is pretty neat, just allowing for a double challenge or to keep something safe. We don't have any exert trigger abilities here. So yeah, it's just multiple challenges and keeping things safe. Like if we quest with this Belle, strange but special. I was going to say reading a book, but that's her ability. But yeah, she quests for 5 if you've got 10 ink in your inkwell, so I imagine that's a character you're going to want to keep safe. 3 copies of Queen of Hearts to help against aggro decks. 1 Judy Hops to pop opposing items. Obviously, if you're in a mirror, then the Tamatoas can get back the items, but hey, if you, like, pop a dime, make them play it again, you know, that still can be a good tempo turn, or maybe you're just popping a fish hook, something like that. 2 4 of Ladies, 1 Let It Go for a bit more removal. The 3 How Far I'll Go. 4 Develop Your Brain. We did not have Vision of the Future back then. And we're also playing 4 copies of 1 Jump Ahead of the Breadline, 1 Swing Ahead of the Sword. It's been so long. You never see a 1 jump ahead anymore. 2 cost uninkable. Put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exert it. Of course, the priority with this deck is wanting to jump from turn 2 to turn 4. You want to go like Porpsicle into 1 jump ahead into a turn 3, either Flavisham, or maybe you prioritize the Grand Martala to filter and find you a card, and then the following turn she can sing How Far I'll Go, and you can play the Flavisham, eat the item, start to draw a whole lot of cards, and then again you've got this huge toolkit of 2 4 of Ladies. We've got 1 copy of Scar here to help clear up the board. We talked about the Toas, and of course 4 copies of Maleficent Monstrous Dragon to banish a character on play, and 2 copies of that Mukduk Manor. The Queen's Castle definitely the superior location, but Mukduk Manor still super good. The 2 lore that it puts on the board looks super good, so huge congratulations to this player. And then 2 more Ruby Sapphire lists filling out the top 4 positions. These ones just 60 cards and a lot of similarities. We're seeing that 1 off Judy Hops. 2 copies of Grand Martala in this list, the 2 cost. 1 quest for 1, and when she's banished, she can go into your inkwell face down and exert it. Not bad at all. 2 4 of Ladies again, only 3 Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. We've got the Shield of Virtue, the Bell, and the Let It Go. Opting for the full 4 How Far I'll Go, an extra Scar, and of course the Talas. Yeah, it looks good. Congratulations to them. And our other top 4, also Ruby Sapphire. Again, a lot of the same sort of things. We're seeing the return of the Let It Go and 1 Shield of Virtue here. 4 copies of Mukduk Manor, the 4 Dragon, 1 3 of Ladies. And not a whole lot more to say, so congratulations to them. And the final Ruby Sapphire list from the Shanghai top 8, taking 4 of the top 8 positions. Another super similar looking version, the 4 Mukduk Manor. We're seeing the Shield of Virtue, the Let It Go. This is actually exactly the same as the last one I showed you. So yeah, Ruby Sapphire dominating. Take a quick look at the archives from Atlanta and Lille. Starting off with Lille this time, we had Simon. Again, looking pretty similar. Simon playing 3 copies of Grand Martala, but makes sense in this deck where we were playing 1 copy of the Floodborn, who, whenever you put a card into your inkwell, you gain 1 lore. And we're seeing 1 copy of Scepter of Arendelle, which, again, was another just nice 1-cost item. You really wanted this item on turn 1 to enable your Flaversham. On turn 3 after a turn 2 ramp, so it was really important to hit a turn 1 item, and then of course later on into the game they're just boosting the power of your Tamatoas. But the ability to give support, super relevant. Maybe you want to quest with a Lady Tremaine, or of course that big bad Tamatawa, so adding their strength to something smaller like a Tala, or the 2-cost or the 4-cost Tala, or a Judy Op, something like that seems pretty good. And over in Atlanta, again, just 1 Ruby Sapphire list, making it piloted by Hamza with a lot of the same sort of cards. We're seeing a much wider package here of inclusions. But 4 copies of the uninkable, 6-cost uninkable 4/4 quest for 3 Gaston Intellectual Powerhouse, who on play, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, 1 goes into your hand, the rest go to the bottom, who is just, again, a really nice way of, like, you run out of cards quickly with this deck, so it helps you find your next key piece. 4/4 stat line, super relevant, evading, opposing Madame Medusas, and questing for 3, super good. Next up in top 8, over in Shanghai, we have EA Tempo. Just win the game. 61 cards here. It's fine, we'll get over it. Just normal Tempo card. But this is beautiful. It makes me think of Artifacts, the all-father of green-purple. You love to see it. Green-purple enjoyers taking advantage of their newest toy in Into the Inklands, Ursa Deceiver of All. When she sings a song, you get to play it again for free and then put it at the bottom of your deck. We are only playing 2 songs. We have Friends on the Other Side, which is a more than enough reason to play this Ursula. Drawing 4 from singing Friends is kind of crazy. We're also playing 2 copies of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, 3-cost uninkable. Return chosen character of yours to your hand to play a character with the same cost or less for free. And it can be the same card that you literally just put down. Now we're playing Amethyst, so we have Goats and Rabbits who are going to hugely benefit from this ability. Even 2 copies of Maleficent, even that's an extra draw too. We have the Pinocchio come into playability, maybe doing this twice in a row if there's a wide enough board, can be relevant. We're running Lol Tiberius Rourke, who on play gives Reckless, so that's another really good one. Cloud Kicker, who bounces a character of 2 strength or less. Ursula, who's going to take a look at the hand and discard a song. But one of the filthiest options in here is this 1 copy of Lucifer Cunning Cat. On play, your opponent discards 2 cards or 1 action and quest for 2. So yeah, this Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, whether you're singing it even once or twice with Ursula, there's a lot of synergies here and a lot of fun to be had. Other than that, we're trying to be as aggressive as we can. We've got these Cursed Merfolk. Your opponent discards a card when they're challenged. Same as the 4 copies of Flynn Rider. Great to see these 2 in tow again. Rafikis to help you challenge the board, and a Pinocchio to help in that vein. Of course, so will Foxes and the Crabs. 3 copies of Pascal, get you out some early lore, combine it with your crab to take out opposing Minnie Mouse. Honestly, that was like 80% of the reason to run Pascal. Just to get rid of opposing Minnie Mouse, like, if you were a green-purple deck, in my opinion. And again, just because we are aggro, and if he sits there and quests for 3/4, then that's pretty amazing. Running 2 copies of Tinkerbell, who quests for 2 with Evasive, and you can give a chosen character Evasive on play with her. So yeah, another character that can benefit from Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. So that was another way to deal with opposing minis. If you had something with at least 3 strength, the Fox, the Crab, the Goat, then Tinkerbell could come down and help you deal with that. 1 copy of Yzma, just to remove if something's just got to go, like maybe something like the big Tamatawa, because like this deck can really struggle like to take back the board. Once it loses the board, it's hard for this deck to come back, and obviously big bodies like Tamatawa are going to take probably quite a lot of investment. Obviously we've got Crabs and Foxes, but you're probably at least 2 for 1ing. So things like Yzma can really help to just say, no, I don't want to, I don't, you don't exist. I don't want to deal with you. Or bounce one of your own guys back to get a couple of cards. And of course, 3 copies of Queen's Castle. This is beautiful. It's simply beautiful. Congratulations to this player. A quick look at the archives for Emerald Amethyst over in Lille in top 4. We had Moosh, a similar list. We're not playing the Cunning Cat. We're not playing the Yzma or the Lol Tiberius Rourke. We're not playing Pascal either. We're seeing Chernobog's Followers. High accounts of Kit and Rafiki. And those 3 copies of Mother Knows Best to be a bit more removal for the board, and another song that Ursula Deceiver of All can double sing. Unfortunately, no Emerald Amethyst made the top 8 of DLC Atlanta. And our final two lists are both SteelSong. This one being a flute variant. Sleepy's Flute, 2 cost uninkable. Exert, if you played a song this turn, gain 1 lore. This was the main reason, one of the main reasons for the Judy hops in the Ruby Sapphire list. It's all coming back to me now. So, it's all coming back to me when you toot a flute like this, and you gain a lore like that. Just because you sang a song doesn't mean you should gain lore. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tyrant because this Sleepy's Flute is making me feel all sorts of feelings. Yeah, whenever you play a song, you may exert the flute to gain 1 lore, and with SteelSong, obviously the aim of the game is you're probably going to be singing songs every turn, so just passive lore gain from a flute or 2 or even 3 was really good against Ruby Amethyst. It tended to be like the way that you got over the line, because you would often have a really good start questing with things like Smees and Piglets, but if you did start to lose the board, then just having these Sleepy's Flutes down, being able to just get some passive lore gain was super important. We've got the Queen and the Robin Hood shift line here to be our singers for a whole new world. Queen super relevant, being able to do this on turn 2 always felt super strong after your opponent's just perfectly altered their hand and then just throwing it all away. Like, I know you can do it from turn 3 of Robin Hood, which can still be really strong, but turn 2 it just felt different. And a lot of the rest of the deck, pretty much the skeleton that we've got today. We've got the Cindy's with her storms, her strengths. We've got 2 copies of Bare Necessities in here as well. Snipe away those Be Prepared or opposing songs in the mirror. Piglets and Smees, as I said, for questing. Lawrence, again, great stats. One of your best Rapunzel traps, along with something like Robin Hood, of course. Ariel to find the songs and sing them on the cheap. And, of course, 2 copies of Cinderella, Stout-Hearted. Just a fantastic card to have in your deck to threaten to be able to shift on top of this baby Cinderella. She can be so hard to remove, questing for 3/5/5 and resist 2, and the Singing Sword letting her challenge ready characters if you sang a song. So, yeah, even from chapter 1, even though like I will always be in the corner of Ruby Amethyst was king, still, so if we were The Rock, then SteelSong was Stone Cold Steve Austin, without a doubt, 100%. It's the ultimate rivalry as far as I'm concerned. So great to see SteelSong perform that it performed well at this event. It does seem like the Ruby Sapphire list took advantage of SteelSong seemingly being quite popular, but nonetheless, congratulations to them. And the final list to look at in top 8, we've got pretty much identical. 1 less Sleepy's Flute. We're seeing 1 copy of Tinkerbell Giant Fairy in here. We're seeing 1 copy of Benja to be an answer to opposing flutes. Popping a Fishbone Quill can be really good to slow down Ruby Sapphire a little bit. We haven't looked at any Sapphire Steel lists in this top 8, but hopefully they were out there. Other than that, the same sort of thing, so a huge congratulations to them. Take a quick look in the archives. Over in Atlanta, only 1 SteelSong list made top 8, and it was legendary Zan Zayed playing those 2 Benja, 4 copies of Sleepy's Flute. Only 3 copies of Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. I don't remember that, but I do love to see the 2 copies of the world's greatest criminal mind. And over in Lille, only 1 SteelSong list making the top 8, but it went all the way. The first ever Disney Lorcana champion, Frank Carsten, on those 2 copies of Sleepy's Flute, 1 Benja, 1 Bare Necessity, 3 Cinderella Stout-Hearted, 3 Grab Your Swords, and those 3 Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain, which is the card I associate the most with Frank, especially from this match in particular against Reese in the finals of DLC Lille. Piglet put in a lot of work. And to finish off our deck lists, we'll take a look at the winner of Tokyo Grand Prix. We also got the job done with Ruby Amethyst. We've got a really neat 2-line special. 4s of nearly everything except the crab. Only 3 crab. Why? Looks really good though. We see the Olafs and Rafikis. Kuz goes for consistency. That 4-1 split of ladies, that seems to be the norm. The 4 mini stylish surfer, yeah, just looks super solid. Ruby Amethyst on top. A huge congratulations to this player. And as promised, I have a man who was right there up in the action, and I thought it would be fantastic to get his perspective of what it was like competing in a Lorcana Grand Prix. From the famous Forbidden Mountain, we have the legendary member of Villain Club at the moment as well, Dick Burns. How you doing, buddy?
I mean, I'm getting kind of sick of this. Like, you have me in the ICL, you wake me up, you know I'm not awake at this time. I've got kids I'm up with all night. I've got a business to run. And, I have to do this interview all of a sudden.
Oh, okay. I understand you're cranky. Do you have your tea? Do you have your special tea?
I mean, yeah, always.
Yeah, I'd like, okay, great. So take a sip of that, just like take a moment. It's going to be fine, honestly. Dick Burns is completely cooperative with Villain Club. He lives purely to satisfy the needs and demands of myself and the channel. Isn't that right, Dick?
Yeah, what's up, Baker?
It's good to see you.
Bud.
You were in Tokyo, man.
I was. It was an
You
amazing time.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I want to hear all about it. I've just talked all about the Shanghai deck lists and the winning list from Tokyo. It's a shame that they're not all out there, but we talked about both the events. But I know you were over there, and again, I feel like your experience at one could like translate to the other. So, first of all, who'd you go out there with, and how much in advance was it planned that you were going to attend?
Yeah, so I went with my wife, and
Awesome.
Honestly, I did not really go to play Disney Lorcana. Like, I booked my flight as soon as they announced there was a DLC, Grand Prix. I didn't think I could play. Even when I walked in the event, I didn't know I could play, right? And I feel like I just needed a catalyst to get me to go. Because how often are you like, man, I'd really love to go to Hawaii one day. I'd really love to go see, the Netherlands one day. And then you wait until something tragic happens usually. And then they say you have a midlife crisis. So I just needed a reason to go. I've always wanted to go to Japan. So this was a good reason. It's tax deductible,
You said that when you went into the building, you didn't even know if you could play. What was that experience like? And can you talk about what it was for people that may not be aware? Because it was a lottery system, to my understanding, but I don't know the ins and outs of how it actually works. So could you break that down?
Yeah, so I found out about 2 weeks before the event that I did get a ticket to the event, but there was a little bit of controversy over if you had to speak Japanese or not. And it turns out what you needed to do is be able to effectively communicate with someone who can speak Japanese. And, trading card games, they're a universal language. It's one of the great things about trading card games is I could fly halfway across the country and have a great game with someone who does not speak the same language as me, and we walk away from the experience feeling better.
So all you needed to be able to do was be able to represent board state to an opponent who you might have a language barrier against, which, as you say, that's the great thing about Lorcana, right? The pictures are all the same. So talk me through that experience, like your what was the first round you can remember where you were playing against someone where there was a language barrier? Like, was it easy to just communicate the game state? Because I know even like English speaking players will play a game in silence quite often.
So I went to a set championships the day before the Grand Prix so that I could take off some of the nerves, and my round one opponent automatically did not like that I pulled out a piece of paper and told me no. He thought I was taking notes when I was writing down lore. It's actually very uncommon in Japan for them to write down lore on paper. They have their phone in, which is crazy. During the Grand Prix,
they have their phone?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And they would use either a phone or 2 lore counters, which the lore counters you could obviously just bump one way or the other on accident. So I prefer the pen and paper. It's what I'm used to.
Yeah, me too.
That opponent, actually, we talked all day at the set championships. I ended up getting 3rd place at that. I got a stitch, and then we talked all day at the Grand Prix. And he did not speak any English whatsoever, so we used translators the whole time. He was asking me advice. We were just talking about all kinds of stuff, just about life, really. It was fascinating.
That's great.
I actually sent you a photo of me and him, and then me and his girlfriend in front of A Whole New World. They left the event and came back just to get photos with me, which was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. But the biggest thing was like I played Lawrence. If you remember, people didn't really play Lawrence during set 3. Not a lot of people in Japan play Lawrence. I actually had to explain that card to about 75% of my opponents who did not speak English, and I was still able to pretty easily.
Was that like were you allowed to use Google Translator on your phone then if they were allowed for?
I would just point at his strength, say that's 4. They would like look over the card. And like someone tried to cloud kicker my Lawrence. I had a Smee with 2 damage, and I had a Rapunzel. Once he realized his only target was Rapunzel, he was horrified, and I let him take it.
Good on you for that.
Yeah, I'm not super cutthroat. Obviously, he was less experienced than I was, and I was really there just to have a great experience. I expected nothing from the event, so obviously I was thrilled with what ended up happening.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. What did you bring, and how did it go?
Yeah, so I played Amber Steel. It's best of one. So I figured Amber Steel, A, is my favorite deck of all time, and B, it can win on the draw. And it can overtake games easily on the draw, not just win sometimes on the draw. And Amber Steel was an underrepresented deck in Japan up until this Grand Prix. Actually, the price of Robinhood went up about 25% in Tokyo because of the Grand Prix and the success of Amber Steel. And I placed top 32, so
yeah,
got myself a Let It Go, Cinderella, and a Rapunzel, all in foil Japanese.
Not bad. What did you lose to?
I ended up losing to the eventual winner, which was Ruby Amethyst.
Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah, over the weekend, I went, I think, 5-3 against Ruby Amethyst. And every single game I lost, I was at 18 or 19, and I was on the draw. And most of the games I won, it was around 20-0.
Okay. When we were looking at the Ruby Amethyst list, and I was doing the dive down memory lane, looking at this past format, and I even brought out the archives from our set 3 Atlanta and Lille events, and I was making comparisons, and most things are the same. There's a little bit of variance there, but it was so interesting to take a look at. And one of the things I talked about when looking at Ruby Amethyst was how good Pinocchio was back then. And I was going to ask, is that a card that, like, again, you had a positive record into Ruby Amethyst, but this is a problem because, like, as a Ruby Amethyst player, that's how I'm beating SteelSong. I'm turning your Ariel before she sings. If I'm on the play, I'm turning your Robin Hood, your Queen, one drop before you can do that. So did that come up? I have to know.
Yes. My very first loss to Ruby Amethyst was in the set championships. It was round 4, and I lost the die roll, and he Pinocchio'd my Cinderella, and I basically lost the game on the spot.
Yeah.
He had Rafiki. If I would have even had a Robin Hood or a Queen, it would have been great.
It would have traded, yeah.
Rafiki. And if I was on the play, I probably would have won 20-0. So, yeah, the Pinocchio definitely
important card.
Me. Yeah.
But
also,
still...
Someone got me to sign a Pinocchio, which was like a surreal moment because that's my most signed card from set 2, and they didn't know that. They just happened to have this promo Pinocchio and asked me to sign it. It was insane.
Were you surprised by the amount of people that recognized you? I've seen one table where you seem to be had a bit of a queue forming to sign cards. Was that a shock?
Yeah, there was probably 50 people in that line. Security had to come over and tell people to stand behind me, because they were blocking the aisleways.
Yeah.
I felt humbled and blessed with how well I was received. This was actually only in my 10-minute break between playing the Swiss rounds and playing Top Cut, and someone asked if I would stay afterwards and play with them. I said, I really want time afterwards, but I'll play a game right now. And she was thrilled, and then people started lining up to play games. I had to explain I had to go play.
Yeah.
But I ended up taking a bunch of photos with people and signing cards for people. Funny enough, a lot of people were reading my name off the back of my jersey and Googling me, which can be scary. But they were finding photos of me and you from the L333.
Wow.
So, and they were like pointing like, oh, you know him, which is great. They've obviously watched DLC coverage, and yeah, like I don't keep track of this stuff. I have a Twitter so people can reach out to me, but I gained 42 Twitter followers in 2 hours at the DLC.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's super cool. I'm so glad you had a positive experience, like, from a social aspect. Yeah, well done to you for making top 32, mate. Generally, congratulations, and I'm glad it was the trip you wanted it to be. Coming up now will be, I know you took a couple of photos of just enjoying Japan, a couple of beautiful shots, which again I'm super jealous. I said it earlier on in my video. I pray that my Lorcana career eventually takes me to both China and Japan, because they are like China, Japan, Egypt, and Rome. Those are my big 4 places that I need to visit in my life. So I really hope that opportunity comes up. So just to finish off, I would ask you if anyone else has got in mind that obviously I'm sure it's not cheap, but if it is a possibility for people financially and they're thinking about doing a trip to Japan or to China to compete in one of these events, What would be your recommendations, and do they need to be worried about a potential language barrier interfering with their experience?
I would say, as long as you're a respectful person, I only knew 2 Japanese words, sumimasen, which is excuse me, or I apologize, and arigato, which is thank you. As long as you're a respectful person...
Seem like pretty good ones to know, like the absolute basics.
Like, as long as you're a respectful and humble person, I think that people will realize that, and I'm not going to say take pity on you, but they will accept you. Yeah. And I think that as long as you have a deep understanding of the game, and you should be perfectly fine. I would say, especially them being best of one, like someone, Jordan actually came over from the UK. He started off 4-0 and ended up 4-3, which was absolutely devastating. Me and him met through Twitter and then met up in person in Japan, coming from 2 different countries, which is a beautiful thing about Disney Lorcana. Yeah. I would say only go if you feel that, like, visiting, like, I went to these shrines and these botanical gardens, and I feel that enriched my life
so cool,
so much to make the trip worth it, regardless of how I did in the actual tournament.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go banking on winning these expensive promos, probably not a great idea in a best-of-1 format. But if you're going to go because you can afford it and it's a good life decision, this is just your reason to go, I would say everyone should.
Yeah. But do other things. Don't spend your entire trip playing card games. Get to experience the culture, experience the place. Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely.
And that is it. A huge thank you to Dick for having a quick chat with me about his experience. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, or maybe you're from Japan or China and you played in one of these events. If you would like me to continue to cover the Eastern Lorcana larger events, then let me know with a comment down below. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.